Okay, welcome to another Full Throttle Thursday. Appreciate y'all being with me. Lots to talk about. President Trump is still winning. Yes, the left is on life support, and their only life support really are radical extremist leftist judges that are trying to interfere in the authority of the executive branch and the president. And so far, they haven't been that successful, but President Trump seems to be over inundating them anyway. So, in other words, every time a left-wing judge tries to stop him on something, he's killing, 10 other agencies, and now he's in the IRS. He wants to shut that down. You saw the Linda McMahon confirmation hearing. The interesting thing about that is she's a multi-billionaire. She's the former wife of, what was his name? Vince McMahon, who ran the wrestling federation, world wrestling, whatever. And so she's like worth billions of dollars. So she used to be the Small Business Association commissioner in the first administration. And so when Trump, okay, I see it right there. So when Trump decided to tap her, he knew that she wasn't really going to be, quote unquote, the education secretary. It's all for play, okay? Because they're shutting it down. So he figured, well, I'll just give her the position because I've known her for years. She's very loyal to me. And quite frankly, she's intelligent and smart. She'll shut down the Department of Education and she'll help me do it. So that whole hearing and that whole confirmation, she's not really going to serve for a very long time because their goal is to shut it down. So I kind of think it's funny, actually, in a lot of ways. But one of these judges has stepped up and tried to stop President Trump again. But here it is right here. So this other judge has stepped in. Let's see, where is it? Right here. Whoops. No, there it is. Okay. No, that's Caitlin Collins. She's an idiot. Okay. An Obama judge issued a nationwide injunction against President Trump's birthright citizenship executive order. Now, I know that we've talked about this in the past. I actually put something out on X. I think it was yesterday, and I'm just going to read it to you. I don't know if some of you have heard it. Maybe you have or not, but here's it's an article too. Here's the title of it. Okay, here's how we can blackmail, and I use those words, blackmail these judges and force them to reverse their unconstitutional rulings. Who has big balls enough to target sitting and federal state judges? Politically speaking, of course. Answer, I do. Attention, radical left grifter judges, you will not succeed in stopping Doge and Trump's agenda to fix America. John McConnell, an Obama appointee, total grifter, 100% compromise, has been on the board of Crossroads Rhode Island NGO and has received millions upon millions of dollars from the federal government, and whose own daughter, Catherine, was appointed by Biden, really Obama, as a senior policy advisor at the Department of Education. Well, I guess the good news is once that closes, she's not going to have a job. We need to investigate both of them, and I'm sure that the NEA and the U.S. aid money is flowing their way. Paul A. Engelmeyer, another grifter appointed by Obama, has a net worth of $36 million on a civil servant salary. How much of this money has come from illegitimate causes? How much is this judge getting in kickbacks from the government to allow the grift to continue? George O'Toole Jr., another radical judge, came to his senses earlier yesterday, no doubt due to the pressure campaign started by myself and others, and he basically rescinded his block on Trump's federal buyout program, which is a smart move by the judge, but he still needs to be investigated. Deborah Boardman, an open borders anchor baby lover and radical leftist Biden appointee who blocked parents from their parental authority to opt out of their children being subjected to LGBTQ trans indoctrination. He blocked Trump with Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. She needs to be investigated, impeached, imprisoned with the others. Joseph N. LaPlante, George W. Bush appointee, another grifter, open borders advocate, anchor baby lover. How much money is he getting from open borders groups and, quote, Catholic charities and other NGOs? He needs to be investigated. John C. Cohenauer, an 83-year-old with alleged cognitive decline, was appointed way back in 1981 by Open Borders President Ronald Reagan. He is mostly known for being soft on crime, including terrorists, and is an activist leftist who gives hundreds of thousands of dollars to money laundering operations such as Act Blue. Perhaps during his future disbarment hearings, he can claim he is, quote, just an elderly man with a bad memory. There is legal precedent in regards to federal worker buyouts. In the 1990s, for instance, Bill Clinton offered 70,000 federal buyouts and cut the federal workforce by over 100,000 workers. Now, let's stop right there. That's not really true. Basically, what happened was Newt Gingrich came in and said, sorry, but here's what you're going to do. You have two choices. You can fight me and you'll go down in history as a terrible president, or we'll give you all the accolades. We'll let you pretend to balance the budget. We'll let you take the credit for cutting welfare, cutting spending, cutting the government. You can have all the accolades. We just want to fix the country. And he said, well, I think I can handle that. And that's exactly what happened. So he gets credit for it, cutting the government, but in reality, he was forced to. So where do these judges get off blocking the authority of the president and the executive branch? Furthermore, these judges are all wrong. Now listen carefully on this one. They are all wrong on the original intent of the 14th Amendment, okay? The phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, is key to overturning birthright citizenship. This phrase was installed to exclude American-born persons from automatic citizenship whose allegiance to the United States was in question. An illegal alien child born in the United States could still have an allegiance to their native country. They're too young to know. Thus, the completeness of allegiance to the United States is compromised or impaired, which therefore precludes them from automatic citizenship. Therefore, the correct interpretation of the 14th Amendment is that an illegal alien mother and child are, wait for it, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning no automatic citizenship, which the Supreme Court, I believe, will correctly rule on in the very near future. All of these judges are corrupt. All of these judges are big-time open border advocates, and most, if not all, are huge donors to Democrat groups and organizations. The stench from the bench must end. Here's how we can get rid of these Democrat activists masquerading as impartial and fair judges. Number one, Elon Musk needs to immediately redirect his Doge team to use their incredible skill set to do a deep dive into all of these judges. Let's look through all of the evidence that we've already gathered, look for their names in any of these documents, any evidence that we may have already have collected. Hire outside private investigators, if need be, to dig up even more dirt on all of these judges. Number two, when they do find incriminating evidence, and trust me, there'll be plenty, on these corrupt judges, such as secret trusts, offshore accounts, shell companies, government contracts, secret kickbacks, money laundering, illegal payoffs, bribes, etc., report the evidence in a report to Elon Musk. Number three, Elon Musk then posts on X a few of the incriminating details from the Doge findings on each one of these judges to let them know that we've got you dead to rights. Number four, now it is time to blackmail these judges. Yes, I said that publicly. Blackmail these judges and post about the crimes in which Doge was able to uncover. Number five, give these corrupt judges a choice. Tell these judges you have 48 hours to rescind and reverse these unconstitutional rulings, or number six, if they refuse, Doge will write up a criminal referral with all of the evidence against them and refer them to the Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice for criminal prosecutions. Let's end these commies in black robes and their careers by indicting them, disbarring them, prosecuting them, and incarcerating them. They are interfering and trying to illegally and unconstitutionally usurp the power of the president and the executive branch. So that's thinking outside the box on how to stop these judges from doing what they're doing. Because if we don't go after the judges, then there's so many judges that Biden, or Obama really, put up and got confirmed because of weak suck Republicans allowing them to go through. And if you remember, even after Trump won, there was about that 2-week period where they were just pumping out judges, man, left and right. And we actually had to step in and say no more. And they did some kind of compromise where they said, we'll give you X amount of these lower court judges if you don't do these judges and all this other stuff. So we are definitely over inundating the system, which is great. But my question now is, with all of these quote unquote injunctions against President Trump, what do you think is going to happen? We'll start with you, Jeff. Are you still there, Jeff? Or did he's there? Okay. Jeff, what do you think is going to happen here? Is President Trump going to get all of these injunctions overturned and be able to kind of clear out the rat's nest in Washington? You got to take your mute off. You got it?
Talking to me?
No, it was Jeff. All right, Jeff, we'll get back to you on that. I'll come back to you. Glenn, what do you think here? Do you think that all these executive orders are going to be able to go through?
I got it.
Yep.
There
Okay,
we go.
I'll go to.
There we go.
There we go.
This mutant thing's getting me here.
I know it is. I know it is, but we don't want to have to start over again. So you got to kind
Gotcha.
of be on the ball.
But I think his executive orders can go through because isn't there something in there that says that they have to go through a higher court to take those out, not just a lower court judge.
Right. Well, a lot of the district courts are the ones that are stepping up and trying to stop him. So the good news is they're not at the appeals court, right? They're not at the top echelon of the court system before the Supreme Court, right? Or I guess you would say the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. is probably the highest, right underneath the Supreme Court. So they're nowhere near that. So they are being appealed to the next court. And I think that those courts are going to realize, hey, the president has the executive authority not only to go through each and every agency, but also to audit the spending in every single agency. That is embedded in the Constitution for the executive branch to have power to do.
So if he has the power to audit, there's not a judge. I mean, even in the Supreme Court couldn't stop him.
Well, the Supreme Court is going to have to take a lot of these cases, okay? They're going to have to take a lot of these cases. Because if the lower courts don't play by the rules, which is what they should be doing, maybe we won't have to go to the Supreme Court. Maybe the Court of Appeals will say, not sorry, we're reversing this decision. And that's what we're hoping for, because we don't want everything to go to the Supreme Court, except, of course, birthright citizenship. I think that is... that one, and I'd like to see preemptive pardoning. Those two in particular, I'd like to see in the next 4 years be decided for sure.
But now, if it did get to the Supreme Court wouldn't rule that he don't have the power to audit.
I mean, I wouldn't imagine they would. I think they would look at the Constitution and realize that he does have the authority to do this. Right. So in other words, these are last gasps, if you will, by the left that has no power. They have no, they don't have the Senate, they don't have the House, they don't have anything. They barely even have governorships. I mean, the Republicans have that as well, and state houses. So it's been like a complete sweep to the right. The entire country moved 4.7 percentage points to the right. But let me get to Tazzy. So Jeff, you were just taking a sip. I saw that. Go ahead. So what do you think? I know you're, it's Friday, it's Valentine's Day, you're in Australia or Tasmania, but you do follow American politics. What are your thoughts on these judges trying to stop Trump?
Look, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think a lot of them are going to go to your Supreme Court, is it?
Mm-hmm.
In the US? Yep. I think a lot of them will end up in the Supreme Court, but in the meantime, they're just doing everything they can to stuff us around and slow things down. But I'm totally
so basically they're basically, it's like the Titanic. They know it's going down and they're the swan song on it, right? Basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
gotcha.
I think it may be a long, protracted fight, but every win's a win, and it'll build.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. And actually, we'll talk about this later, but we want to see Doge go worldwide. I mean, I saw your comment from the other day, and you've got major problems in Australia, and we'll get to that later, but I don't want to take too much time. So, Liam, you are next up. What are your thoughts here? We've got these radical extremist judges trying to step in and usurp the power of the executive branch and the president. You think they're going to be successful?
The answer is no, because all these executive orders, they're not unconstitutional or anything. So, like you say, it's just a last minute power trip by the left. And I don't know, once we get it defeated, let's just stop us from making America great again. I
There
mean,
you go. Good, good. Gail, you're next. What are your thoughts here? Lots of these different executive orders. President Trump is now saying that he's targeting 200,000 federal workers. 200,000. That's double what Clinton did.
Yeah, well, I think that's amazing, actually, that he was able to do that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. I hope I pressed the right button. Okay, yeah, that's amazing. As far as those judges, it's going to be a long haul, though. They're really, sticking their heels in still. They just don't want to give him anything, and so he's just going to have to. Eventually, he'll get what he wants. So.
Gotcha. Okay, is Walter with us? I don't know if Walter's with us or not. He might be, he might not. Okay, all right. So, Carl, what are your thoughts, Carl, on this? You're muted. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay. Repeat the question.
So the question is, you have a lot of these judges because the left has no power in Washington. The only thing they can do is they can shop activist judges around the country, and they can find judges that'll step in and try to interfere with making America great again.
Now that's what they've been doing.
Do you think they're going to be successful? That's the ultimate question.
They've been trying that, but I don't think if the Constitution says that the courts don't have these other courts don't have the authority, then they'd be shot down by the Supreme Court.
And that's what I think
they'd be
is going to happen
successful
as well. So hopefully they'll also put Adam Schiff in jail as well. So, okay, Jeff and Pam, what are your thoughts? Anything different than the majority of us? I mean, do you think they're going to get shot down pretty soon?
I think most of the judges are going to rule against Trump, and that's that, because very few judges and courts ruled with us over the last 4 years about election fraud, election problems. Most of the judges hate Trump. They hate conservatives. They literally want us to die. So the scorn and the anger. So that's my point.
Okay.
Well, I have an idea for Trump's team.
Okay.
They
let's hear
need
it.
to take some good photographs of every judge that's a liberal and study all the footage from P. Diddy and Epstein and find those guys at the island or at P. Diddy's parties and then use that against them. I think that's our best strategy is get something on them.
All right, Jason, you're up next. I like that strategy, but Jason, could you imagine if when they go through the Epstein list, some of these judges are actually on it?
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That would be unbelievable. So what are your thoughts here?
Ultimately, no, they can't stop him because he's in the executive branch. He has constitutional right to do what he's doing. Although I was listening to the Treasury Secretary just a little while ago, and he was saying that a judge has stopped Doge from going into the Treasury right now.
Sort of. What they're trying to do is Besant is fighting back, actually, believe it or not, along with President Trump. And he's getting ready, from what I've heard, to file a counter lawsuit against the judge. There's also been 2 members of Congress that are trying to actually impeach these judges, Brandon Gill, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but there's another one. So there's 2 of them, Mike something. I can't remember his name offhand. Carol, last but certainly not least, what are your thoughts here on this as well? Do you think that Trump's going to be successful in the end?
I do. I think didn't you say, I think you were the one that said last week that he's had 4 years to just think about how to make this country great again and make the ultimate comeback for himself and for America. And I don't think there's much stopping him. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I don't think there is either. And I think it's because a JB show cruise, that would be fun. Okay, so I mean, it kind of threw me off there. Carol is asking, when are we going on a JBU show cruise? How fun would that be, huh? That'd be amazing. We should try to figure that one out.
Carol's bringing the wine.
Yeah, that would be a little bit more than wine we'd be bringing. But
That's
that'd
a
be a
just
lot,
American
that'd be a lot of
250th
fun.
anniversary.
Yeah, Carol
I'll
certainly
bring
would have the
I'll
wine.
bring the bourbon, Carol.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Would you just think about that on your own just right now? You party girl, huh?
I did because I want to meet everybody so badly.
Yeah.
If you do a tour, then you just bring everybody, and then like we go to different places, and you kind of like talk and like you answer like you're doing now, but it's
But
in
just
all these
partying it
exotic
up,
places.
having a good time.
Yes,
You know what we should
look
do?
into
If we
that.
can't
You
do
should
that,
totally look into that because
I was going to say, if we can't do a cruise, maybe we could do a weekend in Vegas. Just everybody goes to Vegas and meet in Vegas and just, hang out and party.
Vegas.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Don't gamble.
That would be an absolute blast. I mean, it's not that far for me. It's 4.5 hours, I guess.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
In Vegas. Yeah. You guys will see another side of Bernstein. That'd be a lot of fun.
Or you do
Jason knows. Jason's the only one here that would know, actually.
Nick
Jason's the only
Papa
one
Giorgio
that
here.
he could blow my cover. Nobody else can blow my cover but Jay. So anyway, that kind of threw me off a little bit, but that's good. I like that. That's why we do it live. Okay, so apparently President Trump had another press conference. Man, this guy is on fire. He's doing press conferences at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And honestly, that's a good time to do it because the prostitutes aren't going to want to stay up and, go in and do all that stuff. But it's the other people that the new right media and things like that, they would be like, hell yeah, we'll go party it up and have a press conference and have real questions being answered, not, the gotcha question garbage. But he had another one here, and let me see, where is it? Is this it?
Well, he had Prime Minister Modi from India tonight.
He did have that, yeah, and he had. I'm trying to find it because it's supposed to be really, really cool. Let me see if I can find it in here. Bobby Kennedy is going to be arriving at work tomorrow. Just like I said yesterday, he was going to be confirmed. I knew it was going to be confirmed. See if I can find it. There's supposed to be a time. Is this
While we wait, if we get on the cruise, I will win the cheapest drunk award.
cheapest drunk award? All right. Okay.
Yeah, one beer and I'm anybody's.
I can't find. I'll have to look for it later. But wait, maybe this is it right here. Let me see. Is this it?
Announcement.
Hang on, this is a commercial. I hate these
The
stupid
world-class
commercials.
performance has been
Skip
targeted
here,
by
skip that.
to remind the committee that President Kennedy unilaterally created USID through an executive order in 1961. Yet the President Trump, orders a momentary pause after winning a mandate for reform,
tears.
and Democrats cry, constitutional crisis. This is after 4 years of reckless spending and unrepentant lawlessness from the Biden administration. I want the American people to understand how this works in Washington. As long as you're spending other people's money, no one bats an eye. But the second you want to save taxpayer dollars, the swamp cries wolf, or in this case, unprecedented constitutional crisis. This breathless, fake outrage from the left is utterly insane. And you know what the American people, you know they can see right through it.
They certainly can. 42% black approval rate for President Trump right now. He's skyrocketing. CNN is having to report it. Everybody is loving what is happening. It's only the political class and the real radical extreme left, which is only 15 to 18%, I guess, of the electorate. They're the ones that are having an issue and a problem with it. I found it. It was right here. It was this one right here. So this is actually President Trump going over some of the stuff. Let's see here. Talk about this one here. Whoops. So he's talking about, this is insane. So $521 billion federal dollars lost to fraud just last year. 521 billion. An estimated 236 billion or more in improper payments were made in 2023. $2.7 trillion in improper payments, including payments that went to the wrong recipients, made since 2003. 162 billion in total improper payments in 2024, including earned income tax credit of 15.9 billion, food stamps 10.5 billion, restaurant revitalization fund 8.7 billion, supplemental security income 6.5 billion, unemployment insurance 5.6 billion, social security disability insurance and survivors insurance program 8.3 billion, including 6.5 billion in overpayments. This is absolutely insane. Listen to this. It's going to be a probably commercial. I hate these stupid commercials first. Rumble always has these dumb commercials. Okay, here we go. Will you be prepared? Yeah, I know I've heard of this one too. Okay, here it comes.
That some numbers have come out, and as you know, we're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. And this just came out from the Government Accountability Office, and they're pretty staggering numbers. The federal government loses as much as $521 billion in fraud. That's what Elon's working so hard on with his group of almost 100 geniuses. In
That's interesting. I thought it was 45. Now it's up to 100. So now there's 100 of these Doge kids. Basically, the video is what I kind of read right there. So it's kind of the same thing. But one thing that I did see is this right here. So right now we're at, just like I said yesterday, it was 60,000 accepted the federal buyout, right? But while it was being freezed, another 14 or 15,000 accepted. So it's already at 75. So 75,000 people are going to go away. That's 4% of the entire federal workforce. He has a goal of 200,000, which is just amazing. Because, I mean, that would be just absolutely incredible. So let me see, where is that? It's right here. Can't find. Oh, here it is. 200,000. So this was the Trump administration directs agency heads to fire most probationary staff. So anyone that was hired within the last 365 days from the time the Biden regime ended, they're all fired. Every single one of them. So they think it's going to be somewhere around 212 to 214,000 federal workers. This is like the most unbelievable thing. When President Trump won, we were like, oh, Doge, we're kind of like, what is that all about? Are they really gonna be able to do anything? Well, still the cuts, even though they're being shown, like, okay, here's where this is, here's where that is, it still hasn't necessarily been absolutely cut, because again, remember, Doge is really, they don't have the power of the purse strings. They can just recommend what should be cut. So let's actually start with that, and we'll start with Carol and we'll go back around. So with all of these agencies, now more than 14, 17 we're up to, 17 agencies they are now in with over 100 of these Doge people. They are recommending, they're finding fraud everywhere. Do you think that the House is going to be able to get the Democrats on board and all of the Republicans on board to cut this waste, fraud, and abuse and actually make Doge successful. What do you think?
You know, I'm not really sure on that one because I mean, they're going to fight him and make up stuff just like they did last time. Maybe I was listening, driving down the road, listening to Sean Hannity or something, and he was playing a clip from The View, which I don't watch, but it was, Whoopi Goldberg saying, because they're cutting all this stuff, supposedly. She's saying, there's people in countries with AIDS and that they don't get this medicine, they're going to die. So basically what Trump is doing, it's going to kill people. So they're they're doing their usual, just lying and just making everything so dramatic and whatever. So you're still going to have some people that are they're not going to accept it. They're going to fight it. They're going to not be reasonable. They're just going to be idiots. So I don't know. I don't think you can get the Democrats on board. I just don't.
Well, I think we can, and I'll explain.
I hope we can.
Jason. Okay. Do you think that Doge is going to be successful in getting rid of this fraud, waste, and abuse?
Well, the only way it can is if Elon Musk threatens him with his power to get him primaried, so to speak. That's the only way. I think that's the only way of getting the Democrats on board.
Okay. Jeff and Pam, or Pam right now?
Well, yeah, I just have a lot of feelings. There's a lot of government services that we do rely on. So we don't want to lose our basic services. The IRS has really cut back on help. It's hard to get printed manuals to do your taxes. And so as a practical citizen, I want to, a few basic services. But as far as the auditors, I don't know why they don't get forensic auditors like Joe Hoft. He's an international forensic auditor, and they could get someone like him in there and he can audit and figure out exactly what's going on also.
Well, in some respects, we have 100 Jovan Pulitzers right now, and they're 19, 20, 21, and 22 years old. They
no,
are
not
experts.
Jovan Pulitzer. He's no, Joe Hoft. Yeah,
I know who he is.
Hoft.
I know exactly who he is. He was supposed to work on the Arizona audit. He was working on the Arizona audit for the first 2 months, and he was finding so much fraud that, believe it or not, Karen Fan, a real Karen, and the Cyber Ninjas actually pushed him out because if they were finding too much fraud. You got to understand the system was baked in, certainly in 2020 and even in 2022. It's starting to kind of, loosen up a little bit here in Arizona. We've got what's his name? Justin. I can't think of his last name. He's going to be the county recorder, taking over for Stephen Richer. We got Debbie Lesko on the board of supervisors in Maricopa County. It's now 4-1 out of 5, so 4 Republicans, 1 Democrat. So things have changed a little bit, at least here in Arizona. But Jovan Pulitzer is an absolute genius. I mean, this is a guy that created the QR codes, right? He created the supermarket swipes, the whatever that barcode thing is. So he's a very wealthy man. He's a very smart man. And we, the grassroots here in Arizona said, we want Jovan. We want Jovan. And he came in and he was finding so much fraud that they fired him. So you are correct that he is an absolute genius. But these young kids, they have basically majored in like AI and all these different scientific types of things and computer science and coding and all these things. So these people are using AI as a program to attach to a file, and then that AI file finds everything. It's really high-tech stuff. I mean, I've seen a couple of people talking about it. I can't even really put my head around it, to be honest. It's so advanced stuff. So in some respects, we kind of do have that. But I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens. I am pretty confident, and I'll explain why in a minute. But Carl, where are you at? Carl, what do you think here, bud? Do you think that Doge is going to be successful in the end and actually get Congress to cut a lot of this spending?
It's hard to say with hard to say with the. I know it depends on if they get all these. If they can get these holdovers out of there, they'd be a lot more successful.
Mhm. Liam, you're talking about the eggs. Actually, are you next? No. Is Walter with us? He had to leave, huh? Okay. So we'll go Gail and then Liam. So Gail, do you think Doge is going to be successful in the end?
Oh, yeah. Am I
I
on?
do too. Yeah, you are.
I am, okay. Yeah, it will be. I think what they ought to do is, show what's not going to be cut into how much is real stuff, which is probably very small compared to the fraud, and show the American people this and what their representatives, their Democrats are screaming about, and be really clear on it. I don't know if people watch all the programs, but he should have I don't know this, I don't know when the State of the Union is going to come, but
Yeah, isn't it usually February? But it might be March now. I don't know. He's too
yeah,
busy. He's like
yeah,
State
and
of the
just
Union. What are you
do that,
kidding me?
just show it with charts and whatever, how much waste there was, and this is what these people are for keeping, and just to make them really look shameful, if they can.
Okay. All right. Liam, what about you? Do you think that Doge in the end is going to be successful enough to kind of get rid of US aid and all of these fraudulent payments and all that stuff?
That's an excellent question, right? Because we all want the answer to that. I think just to keep it simple, if we can get the House to use their purse strings and cut the funding, then yeah, they'll simply cut the funding. Just to second what Jason was saying, I mostly agree with him. I believe the Republicans would probably unanimously agree to vote against the stuff. I mean, I know there's rhinos, but we've seen some good stuff happen in the Senate with the rhinos. So I'm thinking apply the same principle to the House. You just put some massive pressure, get these cuts down. If worse comes to worse, Trump can veto and say, hey, until you cut this nonsense out, I'm going to veto your nonsense. So we'll just see what happens. But we're getting it exposed. Hopefully the American people feel fired up and they'll lay the pressure down and can get this legislation through.
Good, good. Well, what did I say for the last 4 years when we were in the minority? What did I say?
You were saying that
mental what?
Masturbation.
Exactly. Right. Mental masturbation. Why? Because we were in the minority. We didn't have the ability to pass legislation. All we could do was investigate, stall, and, whatever. That was pretty much it. We couldn't really do anything else. I guess we could hold back funding and things like that. But now we're in the majority. And yes, it's a slim majority in the House, but it's a big majority in the Senate. So as long as we can corral those rhinos, we can actually get a lot of this done. Glenn, and then we're going to go to Taz. So, Glenn, what are your thoughts here? Do you think in the end that Doge is going to be successful?
In a lot of cases, I think they will be, because I'm like Gail. If they show the other people who are totally against doing all, how much money and everything and the funding that they could possibly get if this wasn't being pissed away, so and then you get them to get their thinking caps on and saying, well, I could get a better life if I get rid of this garbage, and that's the road that they're going to have to take, is to show the people who don't want to believe in them. They think that they're in there to destroy what they're getting now, but if they can show that they're getting, it will be better in the long run. If you let them run, then they'll be on the side of that, I think.
Okay. Good. What about you, Jeff? What are your thoughts here on this? Do you think that Doge is going to be successful?
I think that it's going. Well, put it this way: if you put sunlight on things, it's a very good disinfectant. So I think Doge is doing a really good job on identifying where all of the fraud and corruption and misappropriation and waste is going. And I think in that way, they're going to be very successful. What happens later is going to depend on the different courts, the different levels that you have there. Yeah, but I think it's doing a really good job, because the idea of an audit of any kind is to go in and find out where the problems are. And once they identify them, then they can work on them. So I
Gotcha.
think in a great way, I think Doge will work. It'll certainly, it may not do everything, but it's doing a hell of a job, and we'll keep doing it.
Here's my take. I think they're going to be successful because of two numbers in particular. One, 36 trillion. That's our national debt. That is unsustainable. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people that maybe wouldn't want to do these cuts to government are going to realize that we're going to become an insolvent country and it's a national security risk. So I think from that standpoint, we're going to be in good shape. The other one, 438. What number does that represent? That's how many agencies there are in the federal government. 438. Now ask yourself this question. If Doge is allowed, which I believe they will, to go through the entire government, and maybe not all 438 because they probably don't even need to, but let's just say for argument's sake they do 50 or 60 agencies, some of the biggest agencies. How many House Democrats do you think are going to be caught up in these scandals? How much evidence, incriminating evidence and crimes have been committed by these Democrat House members? A lot. So just like I said about the judges, look, I'm always thinking, how do you get around things, right? I'm always thinking that way. If we target the judges, then we can pull back the stopping, right? Or the slowing down, because the judges then will be like, I'm not touching it because I know what they got on me, right? So they're going to rescind and they're going to step back and they're going to continue to allow Doge to move forward. When it comes down to the reports, remember, Doge is just a recommendation. Then they're going to write reports. And these are going to be, Tolstoy War and Peace novel length reports in every agency of all of the money and all of the fraud and all of the crimes. And I think Elon Musk is going to tell all the Democrats, you are going to cut the government substantially, or we are going to refer what we have found to Pam Bondi. And I think in the end, blackmail and coercion is the only way that Doge is going to be successful, because we're going to need the Democrats and all the rhinos and all the Republicans to sign on. If we get all the House Republicans and all the Senate Republicans, we don't need the Democrats. But if there's rhinos in there, and of course there are, we have to know that they're going to have evidence against these people. It's terrible that we kind of have to do that, but we don't have another choice, because Doge will not be successful unless there is incriminating evidence and coercion and blackmail, sadly. So I think there's plenty of it. 438 agencies of the federal government, that's a lot of agencies. That is a lot of agencies, and they're not done. And they're up to 100 now, and who knows how many more. They're probably going to hire, honestly, they're probably going to hire 500 to 1,000 of these kids. That's my guess. And they're just going to be running rampant all over the place. Just like I said, Mad Max is worried. We don't know what they have on us. I'm telling you, it's gonna explode. And when it does, they're gonna cut the federal government. And they're talking 2 trillion. Honestly, I think it can be even more. I think it'd be 3 or 4 or even 5 trillion when they're done. And especially if there's crimes that they have the information. This is where Elon Musk and the genius of Trump bringing him in to his, not necessarily his cabinet, but just, into his administration is going to help. Because not only is he the richest man in the world, but he knows how to do all this stuff. He knows how to find all this stuff, and he has them dead to rights. And all he has to do is tease it. He doesn't have to tell them what they have. Just tease it. He could be like, so, I don't know, Ilhan Omar. So tell us a little bit about this $417,000 grant that you got from an Al Qaeda operative? Question mark. Things like that. He can drop little hints, and it's almost impossible for me to get his attention. I can't get his attention. I never have gotten his attention, even if I put things to him and all that, and I haven't been able to be successful. But I do know a couple of people that have met him, and I'm trying to push some of these ideas to him because he needs to understand that he can get Doge done if he's smart and if he uses leverage and blackmail against the people that we need votes for. So that's my strategy in my brain. I don't know if anyone else has anything different on that. So let's see. Federal judge blocks Trump executive order to protect trans children nationwide. Jeez, I'm telling you, we got to go after these judges. Does everybody agree that if we went after the judges and we found incriminating evidence and we blackmailed the judges, that they would then back away and say, sorry, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in jail. I know Elon has pictures of me with those two little, Filipino boys or whatever it might be, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, we've got to use leverage and blackmail. It's the only way we're going to get things done, sadly, because we don't have a big enough majority in the House to not, to worry about 2 or 3 or 4 defect, rhinos, right? We can't afford that. What do we have? 2? I don't even know what it is. 2, 3, 4? I don't even know what the majority is. It's really small. I know it's less than 5 or 6. So with that small of a majority, you got to be smart and you got to be cunning, and it's a blood sport. Let's face it. That's what politics is.
He's got his
Jeff
hand
has
up.
his hand up. Jeff, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think you're pretty on. My opinion, you're pretty pretty right there. But I think the ultimate goal should be to not just get them to comply or fit in, because of pressure. I think the goal should be, okay, we know this about you. You need to retire now and sign something to say you're never going to touch politics again. I think that would be better. That way they feel like they're winning something, and they'll think, oh yeah, I'm getting away with something, and saving face. And I think that would be a lot better than getting involved in blackmail. You could just use it as coercion.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
I mean, look, there's a reason I've been censored for 4 years, because of how I think and how I talk. And,
yes,
I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid of a judge, the FBI, the CIA. I'm not afraid of anyone. I've never been. I don't know. I have this stupid gene in me, I guess, that I just continuously do what I do. The new me moving forward, trying to not be as censored, I may say certain things, but I'm not dropping as many, F-bombs, S-bombs. I'm kind of cutting it back a little bit, and I'm rebranding myself, obviously, as preserving liberty rather than my name. So I'm trying to kind of do things a little bit different. I'm still going to be me. That's never going to change. But I'm going to just do a little bit more of a professional version of myself, I guess.
Yeah. But I think looking at it as coercion, I suggest that you take your hat and coat and go home and never ever come back. I think that's probably better than allowing them to stay in politics. So I think the goal is to get the bad actors out. And one more thing is, something I've learned over the years is, it's very difficult for people like myself to spot and identify bad people and crime, because we don't think that way.
Right. Exactly.
So you need somebody who's got a bit of, like the way you look at things, for example. You have the ability to look at both sides of it, but most people don't.
We need to get more countries around the world, and I think I replied back to your comment the other day that we need more countries of the world to start doing their own Doge. And we need to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of the global community, so to speak. And it's not just here in America. Yeah, we are the catalyst. We are the ones that are starting it. But we all know
Yeah.
that trends that happen in the United States of America eventually move on to the rest of the world. Viktor Orban just announced that he's planning on doing something similar to a Doge. We already know that the president of El Salvador basically did Doge without calling it that. And of course, Javier Milei in Argentina, he did the same thing. So you do have some world leadership movement. And let's hope the AfD gets in Germany, they're going to do it too. So you could see that America could be the blueprint for the rest of the world to kind of go through the fraud, waste, and abuse in other countries. At least that's what I would hope.
Yes.
So,
Yep. Agreed.
this was just breaking. Tom Homan is referring AOC to the Department of Justice for a criminal complaint and investigation.
Good.
Let's hear this one. This just broke right now.
AOC out there.
Doing a
Sandra
webinar.
Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately gain the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney, I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's a impediment, it's impediment in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean, we're done. This is about public safety. This is about community safety. Knowingly releasing a public safety back in the public is just stupid. You're putting the public at great risk. You're putting our officers at great risk. You're even putting the illegal alien at great risk because anything can happen on arrest on the street. So we just want to make common sense. In sanctuary cities, they want to step aside, step aside. We're coming. We're going to do it for you. If you don't want to make your community safer, President Trump's going to.
Well, and everyone, blue cities across America, get ready. Tom, as always, thank you.
There you go. So he's going to start referring all of these mayors, all of these governors, all of these city officials in these big blue cities for criminal prosecution when they get in the way. And you have a Department of Justice with Pam Bondi that is going to be like, bring them on. Let's go. We'll hire more people to put these people away. So I'm excited. I really am. I think that the way that President Trump has come about in his second term has been just so incredible. And it's been so lightning fast. He's done what's known as shock and awe. You know, many years ago, I interviewed a gentleman by the name of John Corman, and he developed the shock and awe strategy. He was an Air Force general or captain or whatever it was, and the shock and awe campaign in 1990. Some dogs out there. In 1990, during the first Gulf War, you remember how it was like, it was on TV, right? We remember that. This is 1990. I was 15 years old. But I remember watching it, and I just see all these, the sky just lit up like asteroids, like in a video game. And that was his strategy. Years later, I found out when I interviewed him that was the strategy, the shock and awe strategy. And we're seeing that unfold now in 2025 with President Trump. He just came in and just said, this is what we're doing and go ahead and try to stop us. And they are it's like blitzkrieg, right? They don't know where to look. Their bombs are coming in from 100 different angles. And so I'm loving it. I think it's great. And I just hope and pray that it continues. So those are all my thoughts, folks. Stay with me afterwards. I got a couple things that I want to discuss with everybody. But those are my thoughts. Can't wait to hear all of yours. And we'll see you on the next one. God bless.
Bye, y'all.
Cut it.